And as long as we're bringing the work hours down anyway, why stop at 40? It's not like 40 is a magical number. It mostly came out of a campaign in the early 20th century to get workers 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of free time. Can we go lower? Hell yeah! Toyota Center Gothenburg had a problem 15 years ago. Their business was growing rapidly and they needed more repair bays in the shop where mechanics could work on the cars. Basically, all of their bays were completely booked from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, whole workday, and building more bays would have been very expensive. They could have asked their mechanics to work longer hours to service more customers, fix more cars, but instead they did the opposite and moved all of their car mechanics to a 30-hour work week. Instead of expanding the space, they expanded the time. Using the same number of bays, they divided their mechanics into 2 6-hour shifts. Before, they all worked from 8 to 4. Now half of them work from 6 in the morning till noon, and the other half from noon to 6 in the evening. This comes out to 30 hours per week instead of 40, but they have all kept their original monthly salaries. And here's the kicker. They now get more work done in a 6-hour shift than they previously did in an 8-hour shift. Customers are happier because the company is now open 12 hours a day instead of 8, meaning they can more easily bring in or pick up their cars before or after work. The mechanics are happier because they're working fewer hours, but work more productively, which feels amazing. But wait, there's more. Mechanics now have a nice chunk of free time every day, either before or after midday, which makes their lives go easier. Also, their commutes go much smoother and faster because they are not going to and from work in rush hour traffic. When their CEO, Martin, presented about this at a conference I arranged back in 2018, his presentation included a slide called Drawbacks, listing all the disadvantages of the shorter hours. This was the slide. Yep, there weren't any drawbacks. He just felt like he should include a slide on him. Some companies went below 40 hours by accident. In her excellent book, The Time Bind, American sociologist Ali Hochschild shared the story of a company that was forced to try it when their revenue suddenly dropped.
When demand for a product is down, normally a company fires some people and makes the rest work twice as hard. So we put it to a vote of everyone in the plant. We asked them what they wanted to do. Layoffs for some workers or 32-hour work weeks for everyone. They thought about it and decided they'd rather hold the team together. So we went down to 32-hour-a-week schedule for everyone during the downtime. We took everybody's hours and salary down. Executives too.
But when they did that, there were 2 things that really surprised them.
First, productivity did not decline. I swear to God, we get as much out of them at 32 hours as we did at 40. So it's not a bad business decision. But second, when economic conditions improved, we offered them 100% time again. No one wanted to go back. Never in our wildest dreams would our managers have designed a 4-day week, but it's endured at the insistence of our employees.
And some companies get there by design. IIH Nordic is a digital agency based right here in Copenhagen, where I live. And back in 2017, they switched to a 4-day, 30-hour work week for all their employees with no reduction in salary. So they all work regular hours now, Monday to Thursday, and then everybody has Friday off to do things that increase their quality of life. I've been there. I've been to their offices a few times, and I've talked to their CEO, Henrik Steinmann, about this. And I think the most important thing he says is that it's not enough to just reduce hours. At the same time, they also had to find ways to optimize their work time. For instance, by having fewer and shorter meetings, by minimizing interruptions, and by changing their email habits. And while all of these changes took a lot of effort and thought, he also could not be prouder of the results they've achieved. Absenteeism and employee turnover are down, while employee happiness, customer satisfaction, and yes, profits are up. Now, I honestly don't think that companies can abolish overwork completely. No workplace has a perfectly predictable workload, and there are definitely situations where employees can help their coworkers, the customers, or the business by working longer hours. Let's say a team of doctors and nurses are operating on you, and for whatever reason, the operation takes longer than expected, and it's now past the time when their shift ends. I, I'm just guessing here, but I assume you'd want them to finish the procedure rather than just drop the scalpel right then and there and head on home. But whenever we do have overwork, it should live up to these 8 principles. It should be voluntary so that people can opt in if they want to or opt out if it doesn't fit into their responsibilities outside of work. Also, no one must be punished or marginalized for saying no to overwork. It should be rare so that it's not a constant pressure on people. Constant overwork is a sign of terrible planning and not caring about staff. It should be temporary and only last for a few days at most. It should be meaningful. Whatever it is we're working longer hours than normal to achieve should be clearly helping somebody who needs it. It should be equitable, so employees get compensated fairly for the extra effort and either get paid more or get time off later. It should be appreciated, so the company shows that the extra effort is valued and welcome and not just taken for granted. It should be enjoyable. Overwork should not be a death march, it should be fun. And it should be distributed evenly, so it's not always the same few people having to work longer hours. It's super easy to remember these 8 principles because if you rearrange the first letters, it spells remade TV. I'm kidding. I hate models that spell something. Whenever I see one, I always suspect that people have added extra stuff to the model just to get it to spell something cool. In the future, whenever you see a model that spells something, I want you to automatically mistrust it. For this one, I had to use an anagram generator to come up with remade TV. Alternatives included tamed rev and
armed vet.
a lot of people also say that permanent overwork is fine under 2 conditions. Either if you love what you do or if you're doing very important work. I disagree completely. If you truly love your work, you can definitely sustain 70-hour work weeks longer, but not forever. It is going to wear you down eventually. And as for the meaningful work, when I asked my Facebook friends to complete the following sentence, working 60 hours a week is, a lot of the replies were negative because I have great Facebook friends. But one person said they hoped that the people designing and making COVID vaccines were working, long hours. And I can understand that. I personally can't wait to get vaccinated myself and, get the Denmark out of these damn lockdowns, which definitely work. Don't let the COVIDiots tell you otherwise. But, if we want the vaccines as quickly as possible, we should let the workers work as productively as possible. And that's not 60 hours a week. The science is super clear on that. If I have seemed a little sarcastic in this video, it's because the cult of overwork honestly offends me. It offends me because it hurts people, but even more so because it hurts people in a way that is just utterly pointless and dumb. It's just one of several nonsensical myths thoroughly debunked by evidence that is actively hurting people while perpetuating many types of inequality. And some workplaces just require you to believe this and live by it. Let me be clear. I couldn't possibly care less if Jack Ma works 996 or if Michael Bloomberg wears adult diapers so he doesn't have to take bathroom breaks. And I really, really don't care if they think that's what made them rich. If that's what they need to tell themselves to feel good about all those hours they've worked, let them. But they don't stop there, do they? They also do everything they can to fool the rest of us into believing that 80-hour weeks are the only way to success, while at the same time designing their companies to make sure that it's true there. And that's not even the worst part. To make matters worse, they sell overwork not just as something necessary, but as something noble, nearly heroic. As if being willing to sacrifice all other areas of your life to your career somehow means you're more disciplined, stronger, more valuable, or a better person. It doesn't. What it really means is that you're gullible, conformist, and willing to let other people decide how you live your life. But what do you think? How long do you think the typical work week should be? Have you broken out of the cult of overwork? Or am I a goddamn radical postmodern neo-Marxist for denying the inherent nobility of the 80-hour work week? Please write a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts or questions. Because here's the thing. We need to switch our thinking. Permanent overwork is not noble. It's pointless. Overwork is not a sign of commitment to a workplace. It's a sign that this workplace sucks at planning and doesn't give a damn about its people. The massive gains in productivity and wealth we have seen in wealthy nations have not come because of all those extra work hours, but in spite of them. And we can fix it. We are fixing it. And as we do, we create even more wealth, not to mention better and happier lives, by working fewer hours. This even benefits company owners. Remember how workers and unions during the Industrial Revolution campaigned for humane working conditions, and factory owners fought them every step of the way because they claimed there was just no way they could stay in business if they couldn't work people to death for almost no money? Well, here's what happened when they were finally forced, kicking and screaming, to lower working hours. Output actually increased, and expensive mistakes and accidents decreased. Sure, you could go along with this bullshit belief, and in some workplaces it might even pay off. It might. But if you do that, you will be hurting your health, your family, and your happiness. And even worse, you will be actively working to prop up a system that you know is bullshit. Don't do it. Because, as Lily Tomlin said, the trouble with the rat race is that even if you win, you're still a rat. Stay happy. I gotta say, when I started writing this video, I honestly had no idea that it would end up being nearly 90 minutes. So instead of making it one long piece, I've split it into 7 shorter chunks. You can find the link to the other videos in the video description or right up here. I hope you find them entertaining and useful. If so, it would be awesome if you click like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please write a comment. I'd love to know what you think about the cult of overwork.